Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Runestone, and today we're going to be going over Magic the Gathering top 10 cards. There are actually quite a few, and mostly are in Commander, so let's begin with number 10. Which we have is Courthussar from various sets. It's an uncommon going for roughly 10 cents on the market. This one has a lot of drawbacks, that's why this one is at number 10. Because it costs 3 mana to put into play, it's a 1/3 Vigilance. It says when it enters the battlefield, look at the top 3 cards of your library and then put one of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any card order. Well, you can do that with spells, which are actually a lot cheaper than this. Then it says when it enters the battle, you sacrifice it unless you have planes was spent to cast it. So this forces you to play a blue, white, or more deck. And maybe you don't want to. I don't understand how this was an uncommon. This is not that good. 1/3 on top of that. You would have to somehow pump that creature, which is typically green. So this is why it's at number 10. It's not even a good card in general, but it is a court card. So let's move on to number 9. At number 9, we got Court homologous from various sets. It's common going for 7 cents on the market. Basically, it costs white, so 1 for a 1/1. So on top of that, it gets +1/+1 as long as you control another artifact. With so many artifacts, I guess back then at this time, can cost 0 and put it into play, you can actually have this as a 2/2 right away. Other than that, there's nothing really too great about this card. Not a cool picture, not a good card, not even from a good series. So let's just move on to number 8. And at number 8, we have Court Provocator from Magic 2013. It's an uncommon going for 10 cents on the market. This is actually kind of cool. I really like it. It costs 3 mana to put this 1/1 into play. It's a really cool picture as well. Basically, you can tap it. Target creature attacks this turn if able. Target creature blocks this turn if able. This gives complete control on those creatures when it is in play. For 3 mana, it is a little expensive, but for its abilities, I think it's actually not too bad. But it's at number 8, so because you can tell that there's better cards. But this one, it would be actually pretty decent in a real deck. So let's move on to number 7. And at number 7, we got Court Cleric from Courthussar 2019. It's an uncommon going for 17 cents on the market. Again, like most things, this one costs 1 for a 1/1, so very impressive. But it has lifelink, so that's really cool. And it gets +1/+1 as long as you control the Ajani Planeswalker. So the chances of that Planeswalker being out while this is 1 for a 1/1, that's not even the factor. This is why it's at number 7. Basically, it's a lifelink 1/1, which is actually a pretty cool card in general in the world of Magic. And in Clerics, it's not too bad. So it's at number 7. So let's move on to number 6. Which we have is Disorder in the Court from Crimson Veil Commander quotations, because it could be from anything else. It's a rare going for 48 cents. Basically, it says exile X target creatures, then investigate X times. Return the exile cards to the battlefield tapped under their control at the beginning of the next end step. So basically, it's an instant, which would have to be if you want to exile those creatures. So if the opponent has kind of like destroy all creatures or whatever, you have this to protect them. And then on top of that, if you'd rather just have to investigate, well, that could be very good at 2. That's why it's at number 6. So let's just move on to halfway down the list at number 5. Which we are beginning with the Commander Legend cards. This one is Court of Ear. And I put in quotations S because it's from 2 sets from Commander Legends, which you'll see throughout this video. This is a rare going for 89 cents on the market, probably because it costs 5 mana to put this into play. Basically, when it enters the battlefield, you become the Monarch, so you definitely have to play that type of game. It says that at the beginning of keep, Court of Ear does 2 damage to any target. If you're the Monarch, it deals 7 damage to that player or permanent instead. The saying is pretty cool. It says, hold your tongue, lest you burn it. If you look at the picture, that just makes perfect sense. So now let's just move on to number 4. And at number 4, we got Court of Bounty. And again, in quotations, it's Commander Legends with a rare going for $2.75 at the current time in this video for the market. And again, with these type of cards, it does deal with the Monarch thing. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. If you're the Monarch, instead you may put a creature or land card from your hand onto the battlefield. For 4 mana, I say that's pretty powerful because who knows if you get that 10/10 into play based on the green being used. And this is why it is at this number. So let's move on to number 3. And at number 3, we got Court of Ambition from Commander Legends. It's a rare going for $2.97 at the market time this time of video. And at the beginning, as usual, this refers to this card being you at the Monarch. At the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses 3 life unless they discard a card. If you are the Monarch, instead, each opponent loses 6 life and they discard 2 cards. So that's really cool. For 4 mana, you can really start hurting that opponent of yours or multiples. And the card is kind of cool because it says watch your step, and if you look at the picture, you truly should. So again, most of these cards right now at the top 5 are basically if you are the Monarch. So let's move on to number 2. And at number 2, we have Court of Cunning from Commander Legends. As per with the other cards, it is a rare going for $2.85. What also makes this very unique and powerful as well, it only costs 3 mana when you previously saw 4 or 5. Basically, you gotta be the Monarch when this works, but at the beginning of your upkeep, any number of target players each mill 2 cards. If you are the Monarch, each of those players mill 10 cards. So you can't really beat that for 3 mana. Just bring that out, it destroys the enemy deck, and this is why it's at number 2, because, well, there's pretty much not more to self-explain for this. So let's move on to number 1. And at number 1 out of every court card in the Magic is Court of Grace from Commander Legends, and it's rare going for $4.38 on the market. This amazing court card can actually be quite helpful in the Magic world if you do choose to use it properly with the whole Monarch thing. So you have to enter the battlefield, you become the Monarch. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a 1/1 spirit creature token with flying. If you are the Monarch, create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying instead. So this type of format, this card would be 100% deadly no matter what you do, because you can block, attack if you choose to do that. And that is all the Magic cards in the world that I think that are top 10 court. And I hope you guys have a good day and a good evening.